If you want your business to scale to multi-million dollar revenue, you can't afford to miss the next step in this business maze, which is PESTLE. So this framework breaks down how policies and economics and social habits, technology, legal laws, and nature drive your business growth. Now you probably think, why should I even care about this PESTLE? So how does looking at this politics, economics, social, tech shift, or the climate change actually help me make more revenue? Sounds like bullshit, right? I used to think same until it helped me hit my first million and helped one of our property client double monthly revenue from 80,000 pound to 160,000 pound in under 6 months. So quick story. Back when I quit Accenture to build Credify, I worked 14 to 16 hours a day chasing clients, building systems, yet revenue stayed stuck. Then AI exploded overnight. Half of our service lost value. A competitor moved fast and wrapped AI into their offer and instantly looked smarter and faster. So that's when I realized we were building in a bubble. We just focused on what we did and what our customers asked for and ignored what was actually happening in the market. Once we started tracking and adapting to AI, everything flipped. It cut manual work, speed up delivery, and gave client more value in less time. The result, we got higher prices, client got faster delivery, and the real growth. The lesson, stop playing in a bubble. When you watch the bigger forces, you stop reacting and start anticipating. That's when growth gets easier. And that's exactly what pestles help you do. But now you might be thinking, how would I know if I actually needed to do this pestle analysis? So here is when it is worth doing. If you are scaling or entering into new market, pestle can help you spot both risk and opportunity. And if you are raising fund, it proves to investors and lenders that you have mapped external risk. And if you are moving into fast moving sector like tech, food, healthcare, it helps you stay ahead. And if you are just starting out in a steady local market, a quick sort is enough. Skip ahead the rest of the video and move to the next user research part. And we are going to talk about SWOT in the step 3 when we are going to talk about more of the growth strategies. But if you are moving, scaling, or looking to keep funding or in a fast moving industry, stick around, because this is going to be something you can use to make smarter moves that push your revenue to multiple millions. This is in continuation of the market research that we were doing. In the last video, we covered the 5 C's: the company, customer, competitor, and collaborators. Today we are zooming in climate with PESTLE: political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors. But wait, what the heck is this other stuff? So if you're new and watching this for the first time, we have already covered discovery part in the DRS framework, where we started with 3 golden W's: what, who, and why, and told you how you can sell your product and service at 10x the price. We have also put together 2 powerful free resources for you: a discovery workbook and a research workbook. Forget theories, these are better tested tools, exercise, and templates designed to help you avoid the costly mistakes that 9 out of 10 businesses fall into. Make sharper decisions, grow with clarity and purpose. So grab that now from the video description for free and make sure you follow along. And to keep things simple, we'll stick with the same UK property client that doubled their revenue in 6 months. But before we begin, let me quickly tell you how actually using PESTLE for your business can help you. You look at what's happening in each stages, from political to economical to social to technological, legal, and the environmental space. You observe the changes coming and turn those shifts into offers that make your business more valuable and set you apart from your competitor. And that's how you turn change into profit and grow from stuck under $1 million to scaling to multi-million. For example, using PESTLE for our property client, we spotted investor hesitation during UK 2023 mini recession and quickly adapted their offering according to which helped them double their monthly revenue within 6 months. We'll tell you exactly how they did it further in the economic section, so make sure you watch it till the end. So let's begin and see how PESTLE works in action, and starting with the first P, which is political. So this mainly covers all your government policies, political stability, taxation, all your trade restrictions. So the famous words, and all thanks to Donald Trump. And then you have your labor laws and the regulations. And here is the thing, politics isn't just news, headlines, or boring policy documents. Every decision, laws, regulation, or trade deals either slows you down or hands you an unfair advantage. Most business ignore this, and that's why they get blindsided. Let me show you 2 to 3 things that made a real difference for our property investment clients. Starting with first, in 2024, there was strict tenant eviction law. So now you might think strong tenant protections are bad for investors, right? Actually, it can work in the investor favor. If tenant feels secure, they are more likely to stay long term. That reduces rent arrears and void periods, and that means more stable income for investors. Once this was conveyed to investors, to those who raised this objection due to this strict law, the conversion shot up by 27%. The second was the taxation policy changes. So all capital gains, inheritance tax, stamp duty, which we call SGLT, rules keep evolving. And even a small tweak in SGLT bracket can make or break a real deal for some investors. So let me take you to my laptop and show you exactly what sort of a SGLT calculator that we built to help our clients stay ahead and reduce all those objection and friction that were happening. So see here in this tool, if you put the property price that you want to buy, so average house that cost in UK is something like 250,000. So if you put that, and if this is a property as a first home, then you pay 0 stamp duty. And if the property is buy to let home, then you pay 12,500 pound. And if you're a non-UK resident, then you're paying 17,500. So this tool allowed buyer to instantly calculate their liability, removing uncertainty at the decision stage. It also positioned the brand as proactive and investment friendly, offering clarity where most competitors left consumers confused. And while the tool itself was simple, we didn't assume user would automatically understand it. And that's the reason we have explained this tool further and how it works. So explaining this step by step, how to use this calculator, and outlining the clear benefit of doing so, this ensured every visitor, regardless of their financial background, could feel confident in using it and see immediate value. And that's not all. We paired it with a property recommendation tailored to the investor most affected or most advantaged by new rules. This transformed the platform from just another property site to a property plus tax smart advisor. Then next comes the Brexit and international trade relations. So we also noticed overseas investors were constantly nervous post Brexit. Trade deals were changing how easily money flowed into UK property. So we built confidence-based messaging, ROI simulation, and legal support and pre-recorded walkthroughs to help them invest without flying in. And remember, these are just the property example. The bigger lesson is universal, and this same logic applies whether you are in SaaS, fitness, retail, or food. Property is just an example we are using. And inside the research workbook, we have put together a dedicated PESTLE chapter that shows you exactly how to apply this framework to your own business. So make sure you have downloaded it, link in the description, and you are following along. Next come is your economical factors, and this includes the factors like economic growth, inflation, interest rates, the exchange rates, the consumer spending power, and global market cycle. Look, money moods drive the whole market. When people feel uncertain, they hold back, and when confidence returns, even a little demand surges. Ignoring economics is like driving blindfolded. And here is what we uncovered for our property investment client and how we use it to win their customer base. Number one, is charting with market condition, recession recovery, and inflation signals. Look, in late 2023, the UK slipped into technical recession. GDP shrank for 2 quarters in a row. Headlines screamed up and bad news, and investors froze. And by early 2024, recovery signs appeared. Forecast showed GDP climbing back to steady 1 to 2% from 2025 onward. Inflation, which had spiked above 9% in 2022, was on track to cool to around 2%. At the same time, house prices told their own story. After double-digit growth during the pandemic, annual prices changes peaked in 2022 before slipping into negative territory in 2023. You can clearly see it here, the boom, the slowdown, and then the dip. For most, this looked like a risk, but we turned this insight into a story. Not the market is shaky, but this is your time to buy in the dip moment. I'll show you quickly the chart that we built for this client, how we turned this hesitation into opportunity. So we have shown this in the previous video as well, and let's cover it here again quickly. So while competitors stayed cautious, our client positioned deals as undervalued assets ready for recovery. History backed it up. In 2028, high mortgages and high inflation led to price dip. That was a buying zone, but most investors missed it, right? And fast forward to 2023, the history is repeating again, so the same signals appeared. This time, we made sure investor could see it coming. This chart pulls all together. Property prices, inflation, and mortgage rates plotted side by side. You can see exactly when fear froze the market, when price dipped, and where the buying zone appeared. One glance showed the cycle and why missing it once can be costly, but missing it twice is like missing this opportunity again. Now comes the second point here. What we looked is the interest rates. Now let's talk about the interest rate trends. So as you can see here, the UK mortgage rates spiked sharply after 2021, hitting levels we hadn't seen it over a decade. Right? Every time the Bank of England moves its base rate, affordability shift overnight. Higher rates meant more expensive mortgage and more nervous buyer. So we solved this with this buy to let mortgage calculator. This wasn't just about spitting out a mortgage payment, it told the whole story. How much deposit is needed upfront? Right? So if you are, let's say, buying a property worth of 250K, so it will tell you how much deposit you have to pay. If the developer takes a 20% deposit, you just have to put in £50,000. And you see the different interest rate. So in average interest rate in the last 10 years have been 3.5%, but during the time when in 2024, it was even 5.5%. So what is the monthly mortgage look like at the different interest rate? So for example, let's say right now the interest rate is 5.5% in 2024, you might enjoy a rent of £434 while paying a £900 mortgage. But if this drops to 3.5, you might be enjoying £768 as rental, and the mortgage payment will be £583. So how this rental income stacked up against the cost like property management service and the other charges like service charges you can see over here. The exact amount of rent investor would actually enjoy after all expenses. And because everything was broken down visually, mortgage paid, management fees, net rental, investors could instantly see if a deal worked or not. Instead of guessing affordability or panicking at headlines, they had the numbers right in front of them. Not just what's my payment at 3.5% interest, but will this property still give me positive cash flow every single month? That clarity flipped the script. Fear turned into confidence and confidence turned into action. And that takes us to the third point here in economic that we studied for this property investment client is global economic fluctuations. Now let's zoom out because the UK market doesn't exist in a bubble. Shifts in a global growth, currency swings and capital flows constantly ripple into UK property. And when the dollar strengthens, overseas investors pull money home. When emerging markets wobble, the UK suddenly looks like a safe haven. We saw this clearly in 2023 and 2024. US rates hike tightened international liquidity and foreign investment into UK property slowdown. But as inflation cooled and rate expectations softened, confidence returned and global capital started flowing back. For a client, this wasn't background noise, it was competing edge. When competitors only spoke about local demand, we positioned UK property inside into bigger global cycle. We advised the sales team to use this ROI simulation and show investors how UK assets compare to US and EU opportunities. We paired this with legal support for cross-border transfers and walkthroughs to remove friction and overseas buyers. The result, this built confidence and the lead to conversion jumped by 35%. And here is the big lesson. Economics isn't just about numbers, it's about narrative. If you time your message around rate trends, global flows, and customer fears, you can turn hesitation into opportunity. And now let's talk about S, which is social. This covers things like demographics, lifestyle shifts, migration, health and education, culture, and values. So look, now these culture and values shifts faster than most marketing plans. Why? Because before the internet, culture evolved over decades. Now thanks to AI, TikTok, and instant media, it can change overnight. And that's why you need to ask yourself, what values matter most to your ideal customer, and are you actually reflecting them? Because if your product and service feels even slightly out of sync with how people live, think, and feel today, you don't just miss sale, you risk becoming irrelevant. For a client, we saw real-time lifestyle shifts shaping property demand. Starting with number one, there was a demand for remote work and lifestyle shift. So during pandemic, everyone said remote work is temporary. It wasn't. Today, over 40% of professionals said they would turn down a job without hybrid flexibility. This shift was fueled by a modern urban exodus, prepare people to no longer tied to expensive city center living just to stay close to work. Instead, they are moving outward into commuter belts, growth towns, and secondary cities where space, affordability, and lifestyle quality comes first. For property, the location logic has changed. Prime cities still hold value, but suburban and regional markets are heating up, driven by remote work, lifestyle upgrades, and demands for bigger, better, balanced living. And here is the key. Tenants don't just want cheaper rent. They want home offices, green space, and a healthier work-life balance. Properties that met those needs are seeing faster occupancy, stronger demand, and premium yield. Future winners won't be in just London and Manchester skyscrapers, but in developing areas like Liverpool, Birmingham, Reading, Leeds, or where quality of life is new currency. Then comes the second, which is changing household structures. So household dynamics are shifting fast. Families are getting smaller, more people are living alone, co-living or flexible arrangements are on the rise. For property, that means one size fits all doesn't work anymore. The 3-bedroom house might not attract the same demand as 2 well-designed 1-bedroom flats or 2-bed flats. Young professionals may prefer co-living setups with shared amenities, while downsizers and retirees want compact, low-maintenance homes. For our client, we use this trend to shape their messaging and campaigns. Instead of promoting generic family homes, we highlighted adaptable layouts like properties with home office potential, co-living options, or low maintenance downsizer appeal. This positioned their portfolio as directly aligned with how people live today, giving them a clear edge over competitors still pushing outdated property types. The lesson: if your product or service doesn't reflect how people actually live today, it risks becoming irrelevant tomorrow. Third, that we uncovered here is the community-centric and adaptable living. So this one might surprise you if you're not from UK. Loneliness is now considered a public health issue in UK. The government even appointed a ministry of loneliness. What does that have to do with the property? Everything. People want more than just 4 walls. They want connection and flexibility. Shared spaces, nearby parks, multi-use layouts, workplace leisure are now top priorities. That's why for property client, we tailored offer to reflect these properties that felt livable and human, not just functional. So what does this all mean for an investor? At the end of the day, it's the tenant who lives there and possibly the future buyer who upgrades. The smarter your property matches the real life, the more value it commands. And here is the point. This isn't just about real estate. Whether you are running a gym, fashion brand, a cafe, or a SaaS product, the same social forces apply. If you understand what people value, how they live, what they aspire to, you will always stay ahead of the curve no matter what niche you are in. And we have broken all this down inside the research workbook. If you haven't grabbed it, download it right now. Link is in the description and make sure you are following along. After that comes the T, which is technology. That covers the R&D, emerging tech, AI and automation, cybersecurity, and the pace of digital change. So here is the thing. Tech isn't about shiny gadgets. It's about speed, trust, and perception. Adopt it too late, you look outdated. Adopt it early, you look confusing. And adopt it just right, you look 5 steps ahead. That means tech only accelerates business growth if it's used early and wisely. Which raises the next real question: what tech will actually add value to your business instead of just sounding fancy? When we were doing research for a property investment client, here is what stood out. The number one was digitalization. Can you really run the entire property journey from your phone? Yes, that was exactly what investors now expect. We gave them mobile dashboard, real-time calculators, and e-contracts. No paper, no friction, no waiting on lawyers to post documents. When we were mapping investor pain points during research, this came up again and again: the delays. Too many moving parts, too much paperwork. So digitizing wasn't just a cool feature, it was the fix investors were begging for. Then comes your AI powered personalization. AI isn't just a hype, it's a filter for trust. And this client, we built AI agent that analyze investor calls, those who had consent, and spotted patterns, and AI engine suggested deals tailored to their priorities, ROI, tax efficiencies, or location. And we also found that investors didn't just wanted more options, they wanted fewer and better options. That's what AI gave them: clarity instead of clutter. And when people feel seen, they buy faster. Third is the smart home technologies. Here is where it gets fun. Properties stop being 4 walls, they become experience. Smart thermostat cut bills, automation logs cut hassle, energy rating improved resale value, and we found something unexpected during the research. Tenants started bragging about it. Just like people flex Tesla or iPhone, renter flex smart homes. And aspirational products always rent faster, sell higher, and stick longer. The best check doesn't feel like tech. It feels like freedom, convenience, control, and that's the real edge. Because whether you are selling home, fitness program, or finance apps, if your tech makes life easier and makes people feel ahead of the curve, you are no longer just another business, you are the smarter, future-proof option. And then let's move on to the L, which is legal. So it covers employment laws, taxation, consumer protection, intellectual property rights, international and trade laws. So laws and regulation don't just control what you can and can't do, they shape trust, confidence, and how smooth deals close. And here is the question most business never ask: is your legal setup working for you or quietly scaring customers away? For a property investment client, here is what truly made the difference. Starting with 1, compliance and regulations. Through clear messaging and resources, we made sure everything aligned with regulation, the property ombudsman, GDPR, anti-money laundering requirements. And this wasn't just box ticking. Compliance gave investors confidence that they were dealing with a trusted broker. From identity verification to clean title transfer, it all built credibility. Second was the property right and contract laws. Legal certainty is everything. In property, you need to ensure clear ownership titles, strong rental contracts, and robust mechanics to handle disputes or squatters. This meant investor had zero doubt their assets were protected, especially overseas client unfamiliar with UK law. To build visible trust and differentiate our client from others, we created detailed guides and interactive resources, animated walkthroughs of title checks, downloadable contract templates, and clear FAQ pages. This turned complex legal safeguard into transparent investor-friendly touchpoints, so even overseas buyers unfamiliar with the UK law could see it at glance that their assets were secure. Third comes the legal reform and the investor-friendly policies. Laws never stand still. Planning permission shifts, stamp duty rule change, and contract enforcement gets updated. In 2024 alone, we saw major changes. The Leasehold and the Freehold Reform Act 2024 simplified lease extension and increased transparency on service charges. Stamp duty surcharge increase. The surcharge on additional property rose from 3 to 5% in late 2024. Councils gained stronger planning enforcement powers, and new permitted development rights created fresh opportunities in rural areas. We tracked these changes in real time and turned them into digestible guidance and proactive website messaging. A dedicated legal update hub and timely content meant investors always knew how reforms affected their deals. And not just that, we updated our SGLT calculator to reflect the new 5% surcharge so investors could instantly see how much they owe under the revised rule. This level of clarity positioned the client as proactive and investor-friendly at the moment when many competitors were still scrambling to adjust. The lesson for any business: know the law well enough to turn it into sales advantage, not just a compliance checklist. Legal clarity builds trust, trust accelerates conversions. And finally comes the E, which is environment. And here we are going to talk about the climate change, sustainability, demand, carbon footprints, environment, certificates. So these are no longer side issues, they are core investment filters. And here is the wake-up call for the most businesses who miss this. In the next decade, trillions will shift away from businesses seen as climate laggards. Banks, insurers, even governments are already pulling the plug on projects that don't align with the net zero. UK is committed to reaching net zero by 2050. So ask yourself this now. Is the product and service you are selling part of the environment solution? Or will buyers, regulators, and investors quickly start treating you as a part of problem? When we were doing research for a property investment client, this came up again and again. Here is how we use it to help our client lead. First was the climate change. From the rising insurance costs to sudden floods and heat waves, climate volatility is reshaping asset values, financing terms, and supply chains. Investors seek proof of resilience, flood defense planning, water efficiency, drought-ready landscaping. And it's not just property. Retailers are rerouting supply chains. Manufacturers are lowering product carbon footprints, and tech firms are citing data centers where renewable power and flood safety are built in. So real question here is how quickly these changes will reshape your own sector, whether you will be seen as a part of solution or risk. Second is the green building incentives and EPC strategy. So energy performance certificates became more than compliance, they became a marketing advantage. We created EPC guides, checklists, and lead magnets that made sustainability simple and profitable. And when governments threw in tax breaks and incentive, we showed investors how going green wasn't a cost, it was free money on the table. But then we uncovered something more interesting. It is the renewable energy integration. Solar panels, heat pumps, and wind energy move from niche to mainstream. For eco-conscious tenants and buyers, these features are now premium essentials. They are tenant magnets. For property client, we position renewable ready homes as low operating cost future for ready investment by shaping their online messaging and campaigns. So ask yourself again, is the product and service you are selling a part of environmental solution, or will buyers see it as a part of a problem? So if you can confidently say it's adding to the sustainable future, you are not just aligning with values, you are giving yourself a real commercial edge. Now with this 5C in PESTLE, you have got your entire 360 view of your market. What's happening inside your business, who is your customer and competitor, who your partner could be, and what external forces are reshaping everything over the next 3 to 5 years. Use it to make smarter moves, whether you are entering new markets, launching offers, or adjusting your positioning. Because when you understand PESTLE, you don't just react, you lead. Ignore it and you will stay stuck under a million. Use it and you will scale faster. Track what's happening in your PESTLE, catch the shifts before anyone else, and turn them into opportunities with an offer only you can deliver. So that's all for PESTLE. Don't forget, the free research book gives you the exact templates, exercises to apply these insights directly into your business. Download it from the link in the description if you haven't done it right now. In the next video, we are going to go deeper into user research and see exactly how your customers think, what drives their decision, and how to connect with them on a deeper level. So if you found this video helpful, hit a like, share your thoughts in the comment, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, enjoy life.